The Galactic research fleet had gathered on the shining world of Aurelia, a place of crystal cities and floating towers. Scientists, explorers, and scholars from hundreds of planets attended the grand conference that was held once every decade. It was a meeting of great minds, those who shaped the destiny of the known galaxy. Among them stood Dr. Lyra Voss, a respected archaeologist from the world of Cytheron. She was young but already famous for her discoveries about ancient alien ruins. She believed in reason, technology, and progress. To her, myths and old legends were just simple tales told by planets that had nothing else to offer. That was why she laughed when she first met Commander Jace Wren. He was tall, calm, and wore a worn jacket with a strange blue circle and white line stitched on its shoulder. Unlike most officers who came from powerful worlds, he said he was from a planet called Earth, a name that sounded old and unimpressive to Lyra. When he introduced himself, she tilted her head curiously. Earth? I have not heard of that colony. Which sector is it in? It's not a colony, he said with quiet pride. It's my homeworld, the birthplace of humanity. Lyra smiled politely. Oh, that one. I've read a little about it. A small planet, isn't it? Still developing? He didn't argue, but the way his eyes hardened made her words echo in her own mind. She thought she saw sadness there, but also a spark of something strong, something ancient. A forgotten name. During the conference, many speakers presented their findings. Lyra's report on the Vishari ruins drew applause. She spoke of lost civilizations, forgotten empires, and extinct species. But when Commander Jace Wren took the stage, many in the hall went silent. He displayed old photographs of Earth, its blue oceans, green forests, and white clouds. Then he showed ancient monuments, pyramids, stone circles, and towers built long before humans left their planet. Before the galaxy even noticed us, he said, my people learned to dream of the stars. We looked up and wondered what was beyond, and though our world was small, our hearts were not. Some listeners clapped politely. Others whispered and smiled behind their hands. They thought it was sentimental, perhaps even childish. Lyra herself hid a smile. She respected his passion, but to her, Earth was history's footnote. A tiny world lost among giants. After the talk, she met him again near the observation deck, where the city lights reflected on the glass dome above. Commander, she said kindly, you speak beautifully. But don't you think you are holding too much hope for a planet that has given little to the stars? He looked at her quietly, then answered, maybe you're right, Doctor. Maybe Earth gave little, but sometimes the smallest flame burns the longest. She laughed softly. That's poetic. He smiled faintly. It's truth. Then he turned and walked away, leaving her with a strange feeling she couldn't name. The assignment weeks passed. The conference ended and both returned to their duties. Lyra joined a research mission to study a cluster of ancient wrecks near the Rokara Nebula, a region known for mysterious signals. The ruins were believed to belong to the Vishari, a race that vanished over 100,000 years ago. When Lyra saw the crew list, she froze for a moment. Commander Jace Wren was assigned as the fleet's security officer. Their paths crossed again. She tried to act indifferent, but inside she was curious. Why did he, a soldier, volunteer for a research mission? What could he find in ruins so old that even light itself seemed to forget them? Arrival at the nebula. The Helios Dawn, their research vessel, arrived at the nebula after 2 weeks of travel. The view was breathtaking. Clouds of crimson gas swirled like living storms, and flashes of light rippled across their hull. Radiation levels stable, said Terran, the pilot. We can begin scans. Lyra activated her console. I'm detecting multiple wrecks below the nebula's surface layer. Their composition matches no known species. Commander Jace stood behind her. Maybe we'll find something that tells us who the Vishari were. She nodded, focused on the data. Yet a part of her wondered why he sounded so certain. The ship descended slowly, entering a silent field of broken ships. Huge metal skeletons floated through the dark, their hulls carved with strange markings. Some glowed faintly as if remembering the light of long-lost suns. This is incredible, Lyra whispered. No human or alien design matches this. Jace pointed to a fragment ahead. That one, see those shapes? Almost like letters. They zoomed in. The markings were circular, crossing lines and arcs. Something about the pattern felt oddly familiar, though Lyra couldn't place it. The discovery after hours of careful scanning, they found a larger wreck partially buried in asteroid dust. Its design was elegant, curved, smooth, almost organic. Lyra led the first exploration team inside, wearing a sealed suit. Stay close, she said through the comm. The structure is unstable. Their lights cut through the darkness, revealing long corridors and walls covered in ancient symbols. Lyra recorded everything, heart pounding with excitement. This was history, the kind of find that could change everything. Then Jace's voice came through the channel. Doctor, there's something in the next chamber. She moved forward. The room ahead was vast and circular, with a raised platform at the center. Upon it stood a single object, a crystal obelisk glowing faintly blue. The light pulsed slow and steady, like a heartbeat. As they approached, the symbols around the walls began to shine. Lyra stared at the central mark on the obelisk, trying to read it. Her breath caught, a blue circle divided by a white line. She froze. Wait, that can't be. Jace stepped closer. What's wrong? She turned to him, eyes wide. This symbol. It's the same one on your jacket. He looked at it silently, then reached out, running a hand over the ancient surface. The crystal reacted, brightening under his touch. A soft hum filled the air, and then, impossibly, a voice echoed in the chamber. Children of the blue world, the seed endures. The words were faint, like the memory of a dream. Then silence. Lyra stood still, unable to speak. The obelisk dimmed, but its blue mark remained, glowing gently in the dark. Shock and doubt back aboard the ship, the crew argued over what they had seen. Some thought it was coincidence. Others said it must be a trick of ancient translation. But Lyra couldn't shake the image of that symbol. She sat in her lab, replaying the recording again and again. It's identical, she murmured. Same curves, same design. But how could it exist here? This wreck is hundreds of thousands of years old. Jace entered quietly. You've seen it before, he said. She looked up at him. Yes, on your jacket. You said it's a Terran emblem. What does it mean? He smiled slightly. It's the horizon mark. It stands for where the sea meets the sky, a reminder that no matter how far we go, there's always another horizon to reach. Lyra's heart beat faster. Then how could it be here, carved on something ancient? He didn't answer right away. Maybe humanity isn't as new to the stars as we think. She stared at him. Are you suggesting humans existed before? I don't know, he interrupted gently. But maybe the galaxy knows more about us than we know about ourselves. A change of heart. That night, Lyra couldn't sleep. The obelisk's words echoed in her mind. Children of the blue world. The seed endures. For the first time, she doubted her own certainty. She had mocked Jace's planet for being small and simple. Yet now, that same world symbol was shining across a civilization older than history. She opened her journal and wrote, I once believed that greatness came from size and power, but perhaps true greatness is in endurance, surviving long after others have forgotten you. Outside her window, the nebula shimmered like 1,000 dreams. Somewhere among those stars, Earth turned quietly in its orbit, carrying stories no one had yet uncovered. Lyra whispered softly to herself, Maybe I was wrong about you, Commander Wren, and about your world. Dr. Lyra Voss could not stop thinking about the glowing mark. The blue circle divided by a white line appeared again and again in her mind like a haunting echo. It was the same symbol Commander Jace Wren wore proudly on his jacket, calling it the horizon mark of Earth. Now that symbol had been found carved into a crystal, older than any human civilization. It made no sense. The galaxy was full of mysteries, but this one felt personal, like the universe itself was whispering. Something about the forgotten world she once mocked. She sat alone in the quiet lab of the Helios. Down the ship floated near the red dust of the nebula, lights blinking across its hull. The rest of the crew had gone to rest, but Lyra kept working. Her screens glowed softly as she scanned the recording from the ancient obelisk again. Children of the blue world. The seed endures. The voice was calm, neither male nor female, as if spoken by light itself. Lyra leaned back in her chair. The seed endures. What seed? She whispered. What did the Vishari know about Earth? The door opened with a soft hiss. Commander Jace entered carrying 2 cups of synth coffee. He placed one near her and said, You've been awake for 30 hours. She smiled weakly. I can't sleep. My mind won't stop turning. He looked at the screen. Still studying the message? Yes, she said. The language structure is strange. It feels almost familiar, but not quite. Jace nodded slowly. Maybe it's not the language that's familiar. Maybe it's the message. The unreadable map. Together, they watched the holographic recording of the obelisk again. When Jace touched the crystal in the video, a faint star map had appeared before fading away. Lyra had tried to isolate the coordinates, but they didn't match any known system. I think these dots represent star clusters, she explained. But the central point doesn't exist in our database. Jace folded his arms. Could it be something erased from the records? Maybe, she replied, frowning. Or maybe it's something that's been hidden. Her fingers moved quickly across the console. Lines connected the stars one by one until a familiar pattern appeared. It wasn't random, it was a trail. A path leading across the galaxy. Jace leaned closer. That last point. It's near the silent expanse, isn't it? Lyra's eyes widened. Yes, a region no one dares to explore. Ships vanish there. Maybe that's where the message is guiding us, he said softly. She hesitated. You think we should follow it? He met her gaze calmly. You wanted answers, Doctor. Sometimes the truth doesn't wait where it's safe. The captain's decision. The next morning, Lyra called a meeting with the crew. The conference room buzzed with unease as the map floated above the table. Terran, the pilot, frowned. The silent expanse? That's a graveyard. Every ship that enters loses signal. I know the risks, Lyra said. But the artifact points there. It's the only lead we have, Jace added. We'll go prepared. Shield boosters, emergency beacons, manual flight control. The captain of Helios Dawn, an older woman named Marin Sol, crossed her arms. Dr. Voss, I understand your passion. But I will not endanger my crew for a theory. Lyra stood firm. Captain, this isn't just a theory. The message mentions Earth directly. If we can prove that an ancient alien race knew about humanity long before we reached the stars, it would rewrite galactic history. The room fell silent. Even Marin hesitated. She knew Lyra's discoveries had always been true before. Finally, the captain sighed. One jump only. We'll scan the region from a safe distance. The moment anything looks wrong, we retreat. Lyra nodded gratefully. Understood. Into the unknown hours later, the Helios Dawn prepared for the journey. The engines hummed softly and the stars outside stretched into silver streaks as the ship entered hyperspace. Lyra stood on the bridge beside Jace, her heart racing. She had always searched for truths buried in ruins, but now she felt she was part of the mystery itself. How far? She asked. 20 minutes to drop point, Terran said. Jace glanced at her. You're nervous. I'm curious, she corrected with a small smile. Nervous comes after curiosity, he chuckled quietly. You sound like someone from Earth. Maybe your planet's bravery is catching, she said playfully, though her tone softened afterward. Jace, when you spoke at the conference, you said humans dreamed of the stars even before they could reach them. Do you really believe that dream could leave a mark this far out? He looked out the window, his expression distant. Dreams don't fade, Doctor. They travel. Maybe that's what the horizon mark means. Before she could reply, the ship shuddered slightly. Dropping out of hyperspace, Terran announced. The stars snapped back into focus, revealing the silent expanse, a vast darkness stretching ahead with faint golden dust drifting like fog. It was beautiful and eerie at once. Scanning region, the AI reported. Unidentified energy readings detected. The lost beacon of faint signal pulsed in the darkness. 3 beats, pause, 3 beats, pause. It wasn't natural. Tri-beat pattern, Jace noted. It's an old Terran distress rhythm. Lyra's eyes widened. You mean, from Earth? It was used by early colony ships, he confirmed. But that code hasn't been used for centuries. Terran turned from his console. That's impossible. No Terran ship ever traveled this far. Apparently one did, Jace said quietly. The ship followed the signal until something appeared on the radar, an object drifting among the dark clouds. As they got closer, its shape became clear. It was a vessel, old and rusted, half buried in floating debris. Bring us closer, Lyra said. The ship's lights illuminated the hull. Faded letters came into view. TSV Horizon Dawn. Everyone stared in shock. The ship carried the name of Earth's first interstellar program, Terran space vessel. But records said all Horizon ships were lost centuries ago, Lyra whispered. It's one of yours. Jace's voice was quiet. Yes, a Terran explorer. Lost before I was born, they docked carefully. Lyra and Jace led the team inside. Ghosts of the horizon, the corridors were silent. Dust floated in the still air and faint emergency lights flickered along the walls. Everything looked ancient, untouched for hundreds of years. Lyra brushed a hand over the metal plates. This ship shouldn't even exist here. How could it travel this far without modern jump tech? They reached the main control room. Screens were cracked, but one still glowed faintly. Jace connected a power link and data began to flow across the monitors. Logs recovered, he said. Last entry dated 200 years ago. A recording appeared, a woman in an old Terran uniform, tired but calm. To whoever finds this, we followed a signal beyond known space. We thought it was a distress call, but it was something else. A message written in light. It led us here, to the cradle of the stars. The screen flickered, then went black. Lyra felt her heart race. Cradle of the stars? The same phrase from the obelisk. Jace nodded. They were following the same message. She looked around the ancient control room, the Terran symbol still engraved above the main screen. For the first time she felt small. Not as a scientist, but as a person standing at the edge of a mystery too large to measure. The awakening signal. Suddenly, the floor trembled. Lights came alive across the Horizon ship. A deep hum echoed through the structure. What's happening? Terran called through the comm. Lyra steadied herself. I think we activated something. A holographic projection appeared at the center of the room. It showed a map of the galaxy again, but this time, the lines connected into one final point. A shining blue sphere. Doctor, Jace said softly, that's Earth. Before they could react, the hologram spoke in the same voice from the obelisk. The seed endures. The children returned. Follow the light of the first horizon. Then the image faded, leaving only the symbol glowing brightly once more. The meaning of the mark back on Helios Dawn, the crew gathered to discuss the discovery. Many were speechless. The evidence was undeniable. An ancient alien message and a lost Terran ship had both used the same symbol and the same words. Lyra stared at the blue mark on the screen. It's more than a symbol, she said quietly. It's a message across time. Something about Earth. Something the galaxy tried to forget. Jace looked at her with pride and calm certainty. I told you once, Doctor, that sometimes the smallest flame burns the longest. She met his eyes, no longer mocking. And maybe the quietest world holds the loudest echo. Outside, the nebula shifted colors, glowing like an unseen sunrise. The path ahead was still dark, but now they had direction. A trail that led toward the truth of humanity's forgotten legacy. The Helios Dawn floated silently above the lost Terran ship, its engines humming softly in the endless dark. The crew had seen many strange things before, but nothing like this. A ship from Earth, vanished for centuries, had been found thousands of light years from home, carrying a message that spoke to them through time itself. Dr. Lyra Voss stood on the bridge, staring at the glowing blue circle on her console, the horizon mark, the same symbol she once laughed at. Now it seemed to follow her wherever she went, written in stone, shining in holograms, and carved into the hulls of forgotten ships. Commander Jace Wren entered quietly, holding a small metallic cube in his hands. We found this on the Horizon ship, he said. It looks like a data core. Lyra turned to him, her eyes lighting up. Can we read it? Not yet, he replied. Its system is ancient, but the engineering team thinks they can restore power soon. Then let's do it, she said firmly. If this cube holds answers, we'll find them. The message awakes hours later. The cube was connected to the ship's main interface. Everyone gathered in the observation room, the lights dimmed. The cube pulsed softly with blue light, then projected a hologram in the air. A woman appeared, her uniform marked with the Terran symbol. Her voice was calm but tired, like someone speaking at the edge of time. This is Captain Mira Holt of the TSV Horizon Dawn. We followed an ancient beacon beyond mapped space. It called itself the Cradle. It showed us stars that should not exist, and a light that remembered us. The hologram flickered, then continued. If you find this, then the message has reached you. The Cradle is real. It holds something. Something built for us long before we were born. Lyra's heart pounded. Something built for us? She whispered. What does she mean? The hologram changed, displaying a star map. A trail of dots formed again. The same path from the obelisk. But now there was one more coordinate. The final destination glowed bright gold, far beyond the silent expanse. Captain Holt's voice grew faint. We could not go further. The energy storms around the Cradle are too strong, but we have seen enough to know the truth. Humanity was not the first to reach the stars. The image vanished. The cube dimmed. For a long time, no one spoke. The words hung heavy in the air. A dangerous path, Captain Marinsol broke the silence. So this cradle lies beyond the expanse. If those storms stopped a Terran ship 2 centuries ago, they'll destroy us too. Lyra shook her head. We have better technology now. Stronger shields. And we have the path. We can make it. Terran, the pilot, frowned. Doctor, you're talking about entering a region where physics breaks. Gravity waves, magnetic storms, radiation spikes, you name it. Jace looked at Lyra calmly. You believe this is where the answers are? Yes, she said without hesitation. We've seen the mark in alien ruins and in human history. Whatever waits there, it connects both. I need to know how. The captain studied her face. You really think Earth has some hidden past linked to ancient stars? I don't just think it, Lyra said softly. I feel it. After a long pause, the captain sighed. Prepare the engines. We follow the trail. Through the expanse, the Helios dawn moved into the silent expanse. Outside the windows, light twisted like liquid. Stars bent into strange shapes and glowing clouds of gold drifted past. The ship's sensors struggled to stay stable. The crew worked in silence, sweat glistening under their helmets. Every few minutes, the AI's calm voice reported another warning. Gravitational distortion detected. Adjusting course. Radiation spike incoming. Shields at 80%. Jace stood beside Lyra at the control station. You still think this is worth it? She smiled faintly. You were the one who said dreams travel, Commander. He gave a small laugh. I did say that. Hours turned into days. They followed the coordinates, jumping from one faint signal to another. Then suddenly all readings disappeared. The ship drifted into total darkness. No star reading, said Terran. Even our scanners are blind. Keep going, Lyra said. The map shows one more jump. They activated the final jump drive. The ship trembled. Light filled the bridge, and then everything went silent. The hidden world. When the light faded, they saw it. A planet floated before them, glowing like a sapphire against the black void. It was covered in blue oceans and white clouds, surrounded by shimmering rings of silver dust. For a moment, no one spoke. It looked like Earth, but it couldn't be. Terran whispered. It's identical, down to the continental shapes. Lyra felt her chest tighten. It's not Earth, it's something else. A mirror, a copy? The AI scanned the readings. Atmosphere and gravity identical to Sol 3. However, no artificial satellites detected. No human signals present. Captain Marin stared at the screen. How is this possible? Jace spoke softly. Maybe this is what the message meant by cradle. The place where it all began. Lyra nodded slowly. Prepare a landing team. Footsteps on the cradle. Their shuttle descended through soft clouds, landing beside a calm ocean. The sky above was bright and blue, just like in Jace's stories of Earth. Gentle wind moved across endless green plains. It was beautiful, peaceful, and unreal. Lyra stepped onto the surface and felt solid ground under her boots. Oxygen perfect. Temperature normal. It's like we're home. Jace smiled quietly. Maybe we are. They began to explore. Strange ruins dotted the landscape. Smooth white stone structures shaped like wings, half buried in grass. The air carried a soft hum like the planet itself was alive. Inside one of the structures they found a great hall. At its center stood another obelisk, taller than the one in the wrecked ship. Its surface shimmered with faint light. Lyra approached slowly. It's the same material. She touched it carefully. The obelisk responded, glowing bright blue. Symbols appeared across its surface. Millions of tiny circles and lines forming a spiral. Then a new voice spoke, gentle and warm. Welcome, children of Terra. You have found the cradle. The team froze. Lyra's heart pounded. Who are you? She asked. We are the builders, the voice said. We watched the young worlds rise. When your kind was still bound to its oceans, we saw the spark within you. We knew one day you would reach for the stars. The blue light grew stronger, illuminating the entire hall. We left this place for you, a reminder that you are not alone. The mark you carry, the horizon, was your gift and our promise. Lyra could barely speak. You gave humanity the mark? We gave you memory, said the voice. It was carried in your dreams, your art, your hope. Across time you forgot us, but the seed endured. The message ended. The obelisk dimmed, leaving silence. Truth and wonder outside, the sun was setting, painting the sky orange and gold. The crew stood quietly, looking at the horizon. Lyra finally broke the silence. All this time? I thought Earth was small, unimportant. But our ancestors were chosen by something greater. The galaxy didn't ignore us, we just didn't remember. Jay smiled. Now you know why we wear the horizon mark. It's not about pride. It's about remembering who we are. She looked at him softly. I mocked your world once. I said it was nothing special. He shook his head. You were searching for proof, Doctor. Now you found it. Lyra turned back toward the glowing obelisk. The builders left this for us. Maybe as a message of hope. Humanity isn't new to the stars. We're returning to them. A promise of light before leaving the cradle, Lyra recorded every symbol, every sound. The obelisk's message would change everything, the way the galaxy saw Earth and the way humans saw themselves. When they lifted off, the planet shimmered behind them like a jewel. Lyra stared out the window, watching it grow smaller until it vanished among the stars. Commander, she said softly, I think I finally understand what you meant. About what? He asked. About the smallest flame burning the longest, she replied. Earth's flame never died. It just waited, he smiled. Welcome to the horizon, Doctor. The ship turned toward the stars. Ahead lay a galaxy full of questions, but behind them now burned the truth of humanity's light. The Helios dawn drifted silently above the cradle, its hull reflecting the soft blue glow of the planet below. Dr. Lyra Voss stood on the bridge, still absorbing the revelations of the builders. Her heart raced as she realized humanity's story was far older and richer than anyone had imagined. The horizon mark was not merely a symbol, it was a beacon, a promise, and a connection to something far beyond the stars. Commander Jace Wren joined her silently, watching the planet rotate beneath the ship. You're thinking the same thing I am, he said. Yes, Lyra admitted. The builders left this place for us and somehow it waited. They guided our species without our knowing. And now, it's time to learn why. The builders' legacy Lyra gathered the research team inside the shuttle bay. They carefully transported a selection of artifacts from the cradle, glowing crystals, etched stones, and small metallic devices that hummed faintly in their hands. The obelisk in the central hall had already revealed more than enough to spark their curiosity, but these objects were puzzles waiting to be solved. Terran, the pilot, examined a small crystal. This energy output is unlike anything we've ever seen. It doesn't match any known physics, Lyra nodded. The builders were advanced beyond anything we understand. Yet they left clues for us. The question is, why now? Why after centuries of human history? Jay spoke softly, almost to himself. Maybe they knew humanity would reach this point, the point where we could understand their message. Lyra looked at him, her eyes wide. You mean, they waited for humans to be ready? Exactly, he said. They knew we would eventually follow the path, just like we did. The cradle wasn't abandoned. It was waiting. A hidden signal back aboard the Helios Dawn, Lyra began running scans on the planet's surface. Hidden deep within the oceans of the cradle, she discovered faint energy readings. The signals pulsed rhythmically like a heartbeat, moving slowly across the ocean floor. Something is alive down there, she said, fascination and awe mixing in her voice. Or at least, something is active. Jace joined her at the console. Could it be the builder's technology? Maybe a kind of guardian? Possibly, she replied. But it's different from anything we've seen before. The energy doesn't match their obelisks. It's organic somehow. They debated whether to dive to the ocean floor immediately. The region was deep, dark, and unexplored. Lyra finally decided we go down carefully, but we go. If the builders left this, they intended us to find it. The descent. The shuttle plunged through the planet's atmosphere, leaving trails of golden light in its wake. As it entered the ocean, water pressure increased, but the vessel held steady. The lights cut through the darkness, revealing towering structures made of crystal and metal, rising from the seabed like alien skyscrapers. Lyra's breath caught. It's magnificent. They built cities here. Jace scanned the readings. These structures aren't just decorative. They're functional. Energy lines, channels, something like neural networks. They followed the pulse of energy deeper into the labyrinth of buildings. The signal led them to a massive chamber shaped like a dome, glowing softly in hues of blue and white. At its center floated a sphere of pure light, suspended above a pedestal of transparent crystal. This must be it. Lyra whispered. The heart of the builder's work. As they approached, the sphere pulsed, sending ripples of light through the water. A voice echoed, not from speakers but directly inside their minds. Welcome, children of the horizon. You have returned. You are ready to inherit the knowledge of the builders. Lyra felt a shiver run down her spine. It's speaking to us. Through thought. Jace's eyes widened. It's conscious. The knowledge of the builders, the sphere of light expanded, filling the chamber. Information flowed into their minds. Star maps, energy patterns, technology designs, and even histories of civilizations long lost. The builder's gift was immense, far beyond what humanity had achieved so far. Lyra staggered under the influx. It's too much. We can't absorb all of it at once. Jace reached for her hand. Focus. The most important part, the part they want us to understand, is still clear. Images of Earth appeared in their minds. Early humans watching the stars, building ships, dreaming of exploration. Then symbols appeared. The horizon mark etched subtly in monuments, carried across generations in myths and art. The builders had guided humanity without interfering directly, planting knowledge and inspiration in the right moments, Lyra whispered. They've been watching us, nurturing us. That's why Earth's culture and curiosity endured. Jace nodded. And why our mark appears across the galaxy in ruins, artifacts, and messages. They left breadcrumbs for us, a challenge revealed. Suddenly the light dimmed and the sphere's voice grew serious. Children of Terra, the cradle was never meant to be alone. It was a test of your species' ingenuity and courage. Many civilizations failed to reach this point. Some were consumed by fear, others by greed. You have shown persistence, unity, and curiosity, the qualities we value. Lyra swallowed. They've been testing us? Yes, the builders replied. But a greater challenge remains. The galaxy is vast. Other civilizations may not be as welcoming. To thrive, you must carry the lessons of the cradle into the stars, protect your knowledge, and spread it wisely. Jace's gaze was steady. So the builders are giving humanity a chance, a choice. The horizon mark is your guide. Carry it and you will find allies, avoid dangers, and know when to act. Fail to respect it, and the lessons may be lost. The builder's gift. Then the sphere extended a ray of light toward the shuttle. Lyra and Jace watched as it touched the hull, infusing the vessel with an unfamiliar energy. Shields strengthened, sensors became more sensitive, and a faint, constant pulse connected the ship to the cradle. Terran gasped. The ship. It's alive now. Or connected somehow, Lyra smiled. It's a gift. They want us to carry this knowledge forward, Jace added, and they trust us to use it wisely. The team spent hours recording data, studying the structures, and mapping the energy networks. Every artifact, every inscription, every pulse of light became part of humanity's growing understanding of the builder's technology. A promise across time as they prepared to leave the cradle. Lyra stood on the shuttle's observation deck, staring at the glowing planet beneath them. This place, it's beautiful. And terrifying, Jace joined her quietly. It's a reminder. Humanity is small but capable. The builders believed in us before we even believed in ourselves. She nodded. I mocked your world once, Jace. I thought Earth had nothing to offer the galaxy. Now I see. It has everything. The spark, the courage, the will to survive and grow, he smiled. And now others will see it too. We have the knowledge to show that humans are more than just one planet. The planet shimmered beneath them, a silent promise waiting for humanity to carry it across the stars. Lyra felt a surge of hope she had never experienced before. The journey ahead would be dangerous, full of unknowns, but she no longer feared the dark. They had a guide, a mission, and a vision for humanity's future. A new horizon as the Helios dawn lifted from the ocean surface. The cradle glowed behind them like a jewel in the void. The ship's course was set back toward known space, carrying priceless knowledge and a renewed purpose. The crew understood that the galaxy was wide, and that humans were small, but now they were no longer insignificant. Lyra turned to Jace. We're not just explorers anymore. We're guardians of a legacy, Jace nodded, and the horizon mark will guide every step we take. The stars stretched ahead like rivers of silver, leading them toward home, toward Earth, and toward the next adventure. Somewhere in the galaxy, The builders watched in silence, knowing humanity had passed their first true test. And as the Helios dawn disappeared into the light of distant stars, one thing was clear. The seed of humanity endured, stronger and brighter than anyone could have imagined. The Helios dawn glided through the star-strewn darkness, carrying humanity's first real knowledge of its ancient connection to the builders. The crew had returned from the cradle with artifacts, recordings, and the memory of a civilization older than the stars they had studied. Dr. Lyra Voss stood on the observation deck, her fingers resting lightly on the glass as the galaxy stretched endlessly before her. "This view never gets old," she said softly, "and now, everything feels different." Commander Jace Wren joined her, carrying a datapad filled with star charts and records from the cradle. "Different, yes," he said, "because now we know the truth. Humanity is not just a small planet in a forgotten corner of space. We are part of something greater." Lyra smiled. "And for the first time, I believe it." The return to known space, their journey back through the silent expanse, was cautious but steady. With the builders' gifts integrated into the ship, navigation became simpler. The pulses from the cradle guided them like a compass. The horizon mark now more than a symbol. It was a network connecting the ship, its crew, and humanity's past. During the trip, Lyra and Jace worked together to catalog the builders' knowledge. Lyra marveled at the technology and insight, realizing that human civilizations could advance centuries faster if they applied even a fraction of it. But the lessons were not just scientific. They were philosophical. The builders had valued curiosity, resilience, cooperation, and responsibility, the traits that had allowed humans to endure. "Everything they left is more than technology," Lyra said. "It's a guide for our character," Jace nodded, "and we need to carry it responsibly. Power without wisdom can destroy." A message to the galaxy. When they approached the edge of the silent expanse, the crew made a decision. They would broadcast a message, not revealing all the builders' secrets, but showing evidence of humanity's legacy and the existence of the cradle. It would serve as a signal to the galaxy. Humans had endured, and they were ready to step forward. Lyra prepared the transmission. Holographic images of the horizon mark, the cradle, and artifacts from the builders glowed in the signal. She added a short, clear message. "We are the children of Earth. We honor those who guided us. We return to the stars with knowledge, curiosity, and hope. The horizon mark is our promise. We endure. We explore. We protect." Jace watched as the signal expanded into space, carried on pulses of light to distant star systems. "The galaxy will notice," he said. "Some will doubt, some will fear, but others will understand." Lyra's gaze turned to the distant blue dot they called home. "Earth, your story is just beginning. Unexpected visitors." No one expected the response to be immediate. Days later, a fleet of ships appeared on their scanners, emerging from the nearby star systems. The vessels were unlike any human designs, sleek and luminous, marked with unfamiliar symbols. The AI identified them as members of the Vishari Descendant Alliance, a race that had once ruled the stars before disappearing into legend. "Open a channel," Jace ordered. A holographic figure appeared, a being tall, lithe, with skin that shimmered like starlight. Its voice was calm but curious. "Humans of Earth, your transmission has reached us. We see the mark of the builders. You claim the cradle. Explain yourselves." Lyra stepped forward. "We found evidence that the builders watched humanity long before humans left Earth. They guided our development, left messages, and created the cradle as a home and a reminder. We do not claim ownership. We claim understanding and stewardship." The alien being paused, its eyes narrowing. Then it inclined its head. "Few species survive such trials. If what you say is true, the builders' trust in your kind is justified," Jace added. "We only ask for dialogue. We seek knowledge, not conquest." The fleet slowly withdrew, leaving a single small ship to escort the Helios dawn toward safe space. Humanity's first contact with the galaxy had been cautious, but it was peaceful. Returning to Earth, the journey home was filled with excitement and purpose. Lyra spent time teaching the crew about the builders' knowledge, mapping it for future generations and planning how to safely integrate it into human civilization. Jace focused on navigation, communication protocols, and security, preparing humanity for the moment when other civilizations would meet them as equals. When the Helios Dawn entered orbit around Earth, the planet glowed in the sunlight, familiar yet different in their eyes. They had returned not as mere explorers, but as bearers of knowledge and hope. Lyra looked down at the continents, oceans, and cities that stretched below. "The small planet I mocked. It is magnificent." Jace placed a hand on her shoulder, and now it carries the memory of the stars. The horizon mark, once a symbol of pride, was now a sign of purpose. Humanity had survived, endured, and learned. They were ready for what lay beyond the horizon. Sharing the legacy, the first broadcasts from the Helios Dawn reached Earth's nations. Scientific teams, explorers, and leaders watched as the proof of the Builder's guidance became undeniable. The artifacts, symbols, and data inspired a new era of cooperation. Nations that once competed fiercely began to share resources and knowledge, uniting under the promise of exploration. Lyra and Jace spoke at the United Earth Council. Humanity has endured not because of size, wealth, or weapons, Lyra told them, but because of curiosity, courage, and the desire to reach beyond ourselves. The Builders left a gift not to dominate but to inspire. Now it is our turn to honor that gift. The horizon mark was displayed on flags, spacecraft, and monuments, not as a symbol of conquest, but as a reminder of the legacy they carried, that humans could endure, explore, and rise above the limits of their past. The next journey with the Builders' technology integrated, humanity's first advanced interstellar fleet began construction. The knowledge gained from the cradle allowed them to build ships faster, explore further, and communicate more efficiently. Lyra stood with Jace as the first fleet departed. "Do you ever wonder if the Builders are watching?" she asked. Jace smiled faintly. "They may be, but I think they'll be pleased. Humanity is ready." The Helios Dawn prepared for its final mission, a journey not of discovery alone, but of leadership, responsibility, and inspiration. The crew was no longer just explorers. They were stewards of a legacy, carrying humanity's spark into the galaxy. Lyra touched the horizon mark on her jacket, feeling its weight, not as a symbol of pride, but of promise. "We endure," she whispered. Jace stood beside her. "And we will continue to burn brightly, no matter how far the stars take us." The ship lifted off, joining the fleet, as Earth grew smaller behind them. Ahead, the galaxy waited, vast, mysterious, and full of possibilities. A new era humanity had been mocked, dismissed, and underestimated. But through perseverance, courage, and guidance from the Builders, they had proven themselves worthy. The horizon mark, once a simple emblem, now represented endurance, hope, and unity across the stars. Dr. Lyra Voss looked at Commander Jace Wren, the crew, and the fleet behind them. "This is only the beginning. The galaxy is ours to explore, not as conquerors, but as dreamers, learners, and protectors." Jace nodded. "And every world, every star will know that the children of Earth have returned." The stars stretched endlessly, and for the first time, humanity was truly part of them. The flame of Earth burned brighter than ever, guided by the horizon mark, the Builder's promise, and the enduring spirit of a small planet that had dreamed too big to fail.